Today we're checking out the Moza Mini MX smartphone gimbal. Let's get into it. Welcome back to the channel, folks. This is Shane. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe and click the bell. I post audio and video tech tutorials and reviews as often as I can post them. So today we're checking out this smartphone gimbal. Let's see what it can do. Firstly, let's do a quick size comparison now between the Moza Mini MX and the DJI Ronin S. Now, as you can probably see, this is huge. It's heavy and not everyone wants to carry something like this with them when they're walking around in public. I don't even like doing it. It's just for particular professional use from time to time. When it comes to the audience and market for a gimbal like the Moza Mini MX, it's aimed at people who might want to travel and already have a great phone or a phone that they like and they just want to get smoother footage, and this will absolutely do that, no problems at all. One of the great things about the Moza Mini MX is the fact that it can handle up to 280 grams. I've got my iPhone 6S Plus, I'm going old school, 6S Plus now with a case, and it can handle that no problems at all. Once you turn it on, you are good to go. You don't need to do anything else. I also love the fact it has some companion software, but you're not forced to use it. You can simply just go to your camera app and shoot with that, which I kind of prefer doing rather than going through a separate app. And we'll talk a little bit more about that later on. But overall, it is a really plug and play design. You don't have to calibrate and balance the gimbal or anything like that. Once the phone's in there, you turn it on, it does it all itself. So setting it up is a breeze. One of the best things about this gimbal, not only is it lightweight, but it can fold up into a bag this big, which is also provided. I really like that. Now we get some detachable tripod legs here as well, but the cool thing about it is you can let it stand when you're not using it. Now to unpack this and just to get it ready for use, all you have to do is turn everything clockwise. So it's really simple to get going. There's many videos about how to set this up, but if you just keep turning everything clockwise, you'll be good to go. Next, all you need to do is to grab your phone, plonk the camera to the left-hand side when you're looking at the clip, power it on, and you're in business. Everything is calibrated by the unit, so you don't have to mess around like you do with a professional gimbal. I dig it. Now, in terms of the battery life, it felt like it took about an hour to charge, somewhere around there, straight out of the box, and then it gives you up to 20 hours of use time. So that's enough for multiple days of shooting, but that's obviously not your phone. But in terms of the Moza Mini MX, you won't need to charge it every day. That's pretty cool. I've charged this once since I've got it. I shot a whole lot of outdoor footage with it, and it's still on the same charge. We get a little LED indicator on the front here as well, which lets you know if the unit's on or off and just how much charge is left in the unit. One of the great things about this particular gimbal is we get a joystick on the back. You can, of course, just control it without it, but if you want to use the joystick, you can get really smooth pans and tilts just by using the joystick. Left is left, right is right. Up actually moves it into the up position, and down moves it into the down position. Now, if you've used other gimbals, sometimes up is down and down is up. It just depends on what you're used to using, but this is aimed at beginners and people who want to just get a gimbal that's nice and easy to use. So up tilts the camera up. It's just one of those weird things. You'll know what I mean if you've ever played old video games. Let's do a quick stabilization test now between not using the gimbal and using the gimbal. So this is shot on my iPhone 6S Plus, handheld, just walking like this. Let's take a look. As you can see from the footage, it doesn't look great. There's a lot of jitters, a lot of movement, and every step is seen within the camera, and I'm literally just holding it out in front of me to the best of my ability. I'm also walking slightly uphill. Up next, I'm doing exactly the same test with the Moza Mini MX. Let's take a look. As you can see from the footage, it looks infinitely better already. It's still not quite perfect, but it's definitely far better than it was when it was handheld. And this is still at regular speed, no slow-mo. Up next, we're going to take a look at the anti-shake option loaded within the Genie app. So you can shoot video with a slight digital stabilization built into the app, similar to that of how the GoPros work, how they've got that digital stabilization on top of the mechanical stabilization. This will give you the best results. Just looking at the footage, there's not a whole lot in it between the anti-shake option and just the regular stabilization. It is a little bit better, but it's not vastly different. Another thing made easy by the Moza Mini MX is you can shoot horizontal video, which is the regular way, like what you're watching right now. And you can also shoot vertical video with 3 taps of the power button. Brings it into vertical mode, and then you're good to go. This works exactly the same way as you just saw before, and the results are really great for that vertical video look. Now, I'm going to show you a sample of this, but it's going to look kind of weird because the aspect ratio of this is 16:9, so you're going to see it in elongated form, but just know you get the full aspect ratio, but vertical. Being that this is so easy to use in vertical mode, there's nothing to stop you from putting it on a table and using it just like this as a tripod for your camera. I think this just makes it really easy, and it saves the hassle of needing an additional piece of equipment to get a hands-free option. On the front of the unit, we have a plus and a minus button, which allows you to zoom in digitally. Now, this is a digital zoom, so if you zoom in too far, it's going to get far more pixelated. But if you're shooting in 4K, for example, and you only zoom in a little bit, you're not going to lose too much resolution, and it won't usually drop in under about 1080p, depending on your situation, how you use it. But just using these plus and minus buttons will give you that digital zoom. And if you're not too fussy about losing any type of picture quality, then that's something that's there as an option. If you're already into video editing, it might be an option that you want to save for post. In my opinion, and the way that I would use it, I would simply just shoot in the widest field of view and the natural field of view of the lens, and then edit anything else I need to in post-production. For me, that's the best way. Placed on the underside of the gimbal, we have a trigger button. Now, this will enable different types of modes. Just as it stands without doing anything, it goes into regular mode, which turns about this quickly. If we double tap and then hold the trigger, you enable sport mode, which turns a whole lot quicker than before. Now, if you want to recenter it, double tap and it brings the camera back to straight. The last mode I want to show you is what happens when you just click the trigger and hold once. So this will lock the camera facing forwards. And this is really useful. Say for example, you're walking, but you want to get a shot to the side of the scenery. You can simply just turn the gimbal to one side, hold the trigger, and it's going to stay there no matter what. This is a really great thing for getting some landscapes, or when you're in the car, for example, and you want to shoot just a steady or static shot. This works really well. If you do choose to use the Moza Gimbal app, you'll get the functionality of being able to switch cameras between the front-facing and the regular camera just by triple tapping on the actual trigger. It will switch cameras in that way. You can also start and stop recording thanks to the Bluetooth connectivity with the record/power button on the front, which also doubles as a photo taking button if you have it in photo mode. So if you want to get a selfie, you can use it in that particular way without having to fumble around the phone. Simply just hold it up, hit the photo button, and you're done. Now, if you're a solo shooter like I am and you don't want to walk over and hit record every single time, this supports hand gestures. So to start recording, you simply make a V shape, put it up in front of the camera, and it starts recording for you automatically. Now you can enable and disable this within the menu settings. Now if you want to stop recording, you simply do this and then make a fist. And that stops recording. How easy is that? So if you're a solo shooter, this makes it a whole lot easier rather than running around to the back of the phone or using the controls on the actual gimbal itself. Pretty cool. Now you also have a manual mode where you can control just about every parameter that you could on a mirrorless camera to some extent. We get an exposure point, which is this little sun icon here. Simply it's locked right now, so we tap it and we can expose for this area, or we can expose for the chair, or we can expose for the little Pac-Man, which is currently off. This guy over here is your focus point. You can move it around to focus on wherever you like. Usually you want to expose and focus for the same point. So I don't know how often you'll use manual mode, to be honest, but it's there if you so choose to use it. Another mode that you can shoot with this gimbal, which you've seen in a million videos, is inverted mode, which essentially allows you to capture footage along the ground or follow someone's feet. It works extremely well. It's nice and simple. All you have to do is flip it this way over and you'll go into that mode. Just make sure that once you've flipped it, you bring the motor out of the way of the lens and you should be in business. Within the Moza Genie software, there's also tracking mode, which allows you to either keep something in focus or track it with a pen and tilt movement. As long as you don't move too fast, this works extremely well, but if you do decide to run side to side, the tracking will lose you. But this is great if you just want to focus on an object in a scene. Another key feature of the Moza Genie app is the templates mode, where you can essentially get lots of different effects at the touch of a button. Now these are all presets and you can scroll through them to get the kind of look that you want. Simply hit record and it will capture the preset that you've chosen with whatever you're filming. So let's talk a little bit about who this is for and whether or not I would recommend it. So the key audience for this is someone who just wants to get stable phone footage, either saved directly to their camera roll on their phone or directly upload that to social networks or wherever. It's also aimed at people who do live streaming who want a very stable image, and in my opinion, just being able to plonk it down on the desk and to have it face you and to stream directly to Instagram or wherever, that's a huge bonus as well. That vertical video option definitely ticks those boxes. Would I recommend this? Absolutely, I think it does the job, no problems at all. I was a little concerned when I first took it out of the box. It felt a little bit cheap, being that it's basically 100% plastic on the outside. And coming from someone who owned the original Moza Mini Me, this feels a lot cheaper, but the payload is better. I love the fact I don't have to take my phone out of the case to use it. So the battery life, as well as its simplicity, I give it the big thumbs up. I really feel like what it does extremely well. Now there's a few times where I felt like the motor was getting in the way, but that's easily fixed. All you have to do is shuffle the phone back or forth just a little bit to get it placed specifically. Now, if your phone is larger than this, you may experience that more than me, but in terms of the iPhone 6s Plus and phones around that same size, there shouldn't be really any issues there to worry about. Thanks for watching, folks. My name's Shane. A massive thank you to Moza for sending this out for the review. So just to let you know, I didn't pay for this. They did send it out. They're not paying me in addition to make the video, nor have they seen it ahead of time. So all these thoughts are my own. If it wasn't any good, I would absolutely tell you. But I think given the price point, given the functionality, and its portability, being able to fold it up into something so small will definitely tick a lot of boxes for people. And I could see this becoming a mainstay in a lot of people's travel kits, just because it's as small and as lightweight as it is. So even though that initial impression of it feeling very plasticky, it folds up nicely and it's much, much smaller and more compact than the old gimbal that I had from them as well. So I really feel like this will definitely tick a lot of boxes. Thanks again. Don't forget to subscribe. Catch you soon. See ya.